Hey guys, I'm back. Got you on geospace here. Still looking pretty angry red. This is the velocity. There's the equatorial plane. Same as from ISWA. It's a Y cut. See the Y? Looking straight across the planet. It's like a MRI slice through the magnetosphere and the magnetopause from a sideways view. So we're getting like a cross-section view of the magnetopause and magnetosphere around our planet. This is the Z cut looking straight down on the planet. This is the one where I show you the different Nemesis solar wind speeds and so forth. Now, so the solar wind speed's still up quite a bit coming from the sun, as you can see by these colors. 600 is this angry red. But look at the fluctuations, the waves coming through. That's what's indicates to me further evidence that there's big planets out in front of the Earth. So they're either holding up the solar wind coming from the sun, and it's getting released, piles up and then gets released, held up by their magnetospheres and maybe even by their mass. And then it finally gets released and it comes through in these waves hitting the Earth's magnetopause. And here's the density. There's the beginning of the run. Alright. There's not too much showing, not too many variables showing on the density run. You can see all the density coming in the back side. That's, I think, what we have to be most concerned about now. Is this backside stuff coming from Nemesis. That's the front side. We're not going to get too much more from the sun, I don't think. Or our magnetopause is, I don't know. But anyway, here's the pressure. So you can see we got a ton of pressure still around the planet. So everything's looking really violent right now. The solar wind speeds, this is discovered last 24 hours. Solar wind speed still around 600 kilometers per second, which is what Enlil's predicted. So we're okay there. Solar wind density, that's pretty much leveled off as well. Got up as high as 857 there, but it's running around 6 or 7, dropping down a little bit there. The phi angle connection, that still remains predominantly a sun to earth connection, but it's also running through all those big planets in front of the earth. And because anything 180 or below is something relative to the sun and an earth connection. Got a little bump there, 231, 241, 252. Nemesis trying to assert itself there a little bit more. But basically we're running pretty much sun, predominant sun side connection within our four-way connect. Here's the solarham.com space weather tutorial. Very good tool. I got it in my description box. This pretty much explains all the stuff you're seeing on ACE and Discover. There's the blue triangle, which I was just pointing out. And down here it says the phi would be 0 if it were pointing at the sun from the earth to the sun, and 180 if it were pointing from the sun to the earth. So right now that's what's happening. And there's ACE and Discover parked out here. So we have this four-way connect, got Nemesis behind. Just picture a loose connection in an electrical field between Nemesis, the Earth, the planets that are out in front of the Earth, which are showing up on MLSO. And if you read my hypothesis number 1, it pretty much explains what's been going on. So I've been documenting this stuff almost daily. And if you're new to the channel, you need to read hypothesis number 1 and hypothesis number 2 to explain what the heck's going on. And then it's up for you to decide whether or not I'm correct. But the evidence is overwhelming in my opinion. So here's Ace and Discover up here at the L1 Lagrange point, 930,000 miles in front of the Earth. Here's the Sun. So they're all four connected. For quite a while, it was favoring a Nemesis stronger connection, which was showing up around 360 for quite a while, several weeks in a row. The phi angle I'm talking about was way up here. See where my cursor is. But now, since the Sun's been demonstrating some strength here as of late with the solar wind speed, guess we got coronal hole stream maybe opened up and was pointing toward the Earth. So that brought the solar wind speed up. So it also increased the strength of the connection and the voltage pressure coming from the Sun. So the phi angle went down from the normal 360 with the Nemesis strong backside connection, more favoring a stronger push from the Sun. And that's what we've been experiencing lately. But this time when it happened, we didn't have the big pile up in density like we did before when this thing occurred, like back on the 27th when we had those power grid failures. I think that's when things started to solidify themselves with this four-way connection between Nemesis, Earth, big planets in front of the Earth, Nemesis, Earth, big planets in front of the Earth, and the Sun. I think that connection became solidified back around the 27th, or was in the process of. That's when we had the solar wind speed. Well, that's when we had the density pile up at the L1 Lagrange point, showing up around 54, and then when it released, that's when we had those power failures in Queens, New York, and Kenner, Louisiana. Then on the 7th, it happened again, but it only went up to density I'm talking about. Solar wind density only piled up to around half of what it was on the 27th, and then it released. We didn't have the power failures. But now I think the connection has been solidified, and now we're having pretty much a steady stream. The pipe's open, in other words, between Nemesis behind, through the Earth and around the Earth, through the big planets and around the big planets and out to the Sun. That connection is solid now, and it's stable and it's fluid. So that's why I think we're not getting the density pile up like we did back on the 27th. And things are becoming more stable, although right now quite a bit more violent. And the only thing that's really given us the fluctuations now is those big planets in the front of the Earth with their magnetospheres and or mass and or gravity, to a much lesser extent, holding up the solar wind, and then it's getting released and flung at the Earth. So here's what it looks like on ISWA. There's the Y cut I was showing you on Geospace. Straight across look. Here's the Z cut This is the one where we get the solar wind speed. And we had another high-speed solar wind event. Again, pretty much like clockwork, right around toward the end of the day. We had a 1537. And look here, one thing, the whole run, the solar wind speeds in the high 5s or 6 or above. Whereas before it was in the 3s and 4s. And then we'd have the high-speed solar wind event every day like clockwork right around midnight hour UTC. We're still getting this high-speed solar wind events right around the midnight hour. There's 1302 at 2355 UTC. So that'd be like 5 hours prior to that. So that's 6:59 Eastern Standard Time. So click this lower box to the right so you get these numbers. I'll click them through real quick. 1015, 1281, 1487, 1661, 1802, 1731. And here's they're showing up over here now. What I'm showing you over here. 1937, that's as high as it went, which is high. 400 kilometers per second is approximately 1,000,000 miles per hour. So it lasted, I mean, the event itself lasted about an hour and a half, but the solar wind speeds up considerably in a steady level, steady pressure, and I think that further indicates my hypothesis that the connection has been solidified between the Nemesis behind and the sun out in front and everything in between, including Earth. I think it's been pretty much solidified. So I don't think we have to worry about stuff piling up in front of the Earth anymore. The solar wind density, I mean. I don't think that's going to happen again. Not as a result from Nemesis anyway. Unless we have a huge coronal mass ejection, CME, which I don't think that's possible at this point since we're in a solar minimum. So I don't think we're going to get stuff looking like this anymore with the solar wind density piling up. But I could be wrong. But to me, it looks like the connection pretty solid now. There's no interference in between, and things are just flowing, free flowing back and forth between Nemesis behind. You can see all the solar wind pressure and energy coming in from Nemesis. The Earth, big planets out in front. You can see all their interplanetary magnetic field lines making their presence known. Stacking up in front of the Earth, you'll see some of these little feelers come out up here. And whenever there's no field lines in front, I think that the Earth and the big planet or planets out here are actually maybe working in tandem together, and maybe Earth's drawing some strength from them or vice versa in order to somehow survive this squeeze play in between these two binary twin suns. I mean, this is crazy stuff, guys. I mean, it's serious, very serious. So you see all the blue ones there? And here's MLSO real quick. This is yesterday's run, cleaned up. You can see all the big objects or planets. This isn't normal. I did my best to look through any archival footage I could find from MLSO, and these objects do not appear in normally. This is like a 7-hour run here. There's the big one up there. There's one there that's obviously moved. Used to be up around here a few days ago. There's some over here. Anyway, I'm running out of time. God bless, peace, and